Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I am Donny Mayhem, and in this video I will be going through the patch notes as of today, the 26th of September 2019. So in Borderlands 3 today, they have released a patch on quite a few things: general fixes, improvements and performance. So to begin on performance, for the PC only, they have reduced the amount of texture streaming that was occurring while you were aiming down the sights. They have addressed a reported concern where certain users with a lot of people in their friends list saw more frequent hitching. And finally, implementing general stability improvements. So we move on to general fixes and improvements. They have addressed a reported issue where Kilovolt Shield Storm attack does not disable the tiles around Kilovolt, resulting in the entire floor being activated. I for one can vouch this happened to me, and I found in quite a pain before I found the Transformer Shield. That was. Next up, they have addressed a potential progression blocker in the mission Footsteps of Giants. They've addressed a reported issue where the Guardian rank had the potential to become non-functional, and or the player could potentially lose Guardian rank tokens into the negatives. Again, this has happened to me multiple times, so I'm glad to see that. They have modified vending machines, so it will now sort items by rarity. The console field of view is now set to 75 by default. This will not affect players who have already started the game. Next up, special prompts for particle text. For example, TD guns, critical and immune are now properly localized. They've addressed a reported concern that certain players experience where their vehicle's boost could continue into the next map. They've addressed a reported concern with the porcelain pipe bomb grenade where it set off multiple explosions when colliding with objects. They've also put that this grenade was never meant to explode multiple times. All enemies in the Borderlands universe are now safe from being instantly melted by radioactive poop. So I know a lot of people have been farming the second Vault boss with this and melting him in seconds. So that, I'm afraid, is a fix for that. So next on the UI, they have adjusted the verbiage for left stick and right stick inside the Russian localized version of the control options screen. They've addressed a reported issue where certain users experienced a failure of the audio to play when spending skill points in the UI. That's user interface, by the way. Sorry, should have explained that. Next up, the text is now correctly marked invalid when you enter an invalid email address on the Shift account creation page. They've addressed a reported issue where the item of the day card would flash briefly before displaying on vending machines. Addressed a reported concern that certain players were served an unread mail icon when they didn't have mail to read. Next up, the Iron Bear button prompts will now correctly update if you rebind your controls. Modified various features and elements of Crazy Earl's store. They've addressed a reported issue where subtitles wouldn't display until after the initial cutscene. Addressed an issue experienced by certain players that social notifications could become stuck on screen. Addressed a player concern that certain item preview images were failing to load inside the player bank. This has happened to me as well a few times. Next, PC only. They've addressed an issue reported by certain PC players where the focus from the mouse's last known location was sticking around and even playing with a gamepad as well. They addressed an issue reported by certain players where the cursor would snap to an unintended location in the user interface. So, next up, we have split screen and online multiplayer fixes. They've addressed a concern reported by players that the dialogue volume faded too low before switching to echo audio during split screen gameplay. Addressed a concern reported by certain players that sounds were quiet or missing from the second split screen player if they moved too far from the first player. Addressed a concern reported by certain players that 3-player groups were having trouble matchmaking with an additional solo player. Addressed a reported concern experienced by certain players that in split screen one player's sprinting animation could be interrupted by other player opening the echo menu. Addressed a handful of reported client replication issues. Addressed Tina's Pizza Bomb so it displays correctly for clients. Modified certain audio elements that were reportedly looping for clients. I had a quest where that happened. One of the NPCs kept repeating what he was saying over and over and over and over again, even when I went back to the place. So next, they've addressed a reported player concern, so the Guardian skill Dead Man's Hand now functions properly. Player icons are now pinned to the side of the minimap when playing in any kind of multiplayer. So, a lot to have gone through there. Hope you stuck with me through that. I will leave the link down below for the patch notes so you can read them for yourselves. Yeah, I mean, I've experienced a few issues in there which they have fixed, which is great. I mean, going forward, obviously, the game's still young, not been out for very long. There's still a few things I'd like to see addressed. Mine are mainly just different things in the game. I was quite gutted to find out you only have one bank space per gamer tag, so even multiple characters have used the same bank, so you haven't really got much space for your loot. But that's not really a performance issue for me. I mean, the performance issues that I've had trouble with have all pretty much been covered for in this patch. So, thanks for watching. I've been Donny Mayhem. Drop me a like and subscribe if the video was helpful, and I will catch you next time.